I guess my last question on this topic before we transition to MLS and American players, and like specifically over there, what can MLS as a league do to improve this view overseas? So we talked about a little bit of not needing you. I think you had made the comment of they don't necessarily need to go to straight to pro rel. There are a few other things. Connor mentioned developing more players, but is there anything else that you would think maybe would grow this league outside of just really good players and maybe some pro rel?
Yeah, I think that what the MLS's next step needs to be, and I've thought this for years, is they have the designated players, right? The designated players come in. They have 3 slots now, I think, for designated players. They normally go out and get people who are going to sell the shirts. I think about Thierry Henry at Red Bull, right? Thierry Henry came in. I mean, he did well. He was obviously levels above when I've seen him play. But it's Thierry Henry. He was like 34. Pirlo, Lampard, Gerrard, Ashley Cole, Zlatan, right? You get these players. I think what you need is you need more players coming to MLS. Like Johnny Russell is a perfect example. He was at Derby County. He lost his way, lost his love for football. We sold him to Kansas. He's amazing, right? Johnny Russell is, I love Johnny Russell. I love Johnny Russell. Johnny Russell's just,
I do too.
he's like a godlike figure. He's captain, he's scoring goals, he's doing well. He's really rebuilt his career. I think what it takes for MLS to take the next stop is they go and they get players like Jordan Shaqiri, right? Jordan Shaqiri's come to Chicago Fire, big player. Schweinsteiger was another one that was at the Fire as well. I think what MLS has to do to improve is they have to look at getting players who are in their prime years in Europe, who are not necessarily like world-class superstars. I'm not talking like Neymar and Mbappe level, right? But we're talking solid players, like Connor said, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Players like that, players who are in their prime, who are, who have ambitions of playing at higher levels, bringing them into the league and filtering them that way. The only problem is that if you're Callum Hudson-Odoi and you're on 150,000 a week at Chelsea or whatever it is, I think the going wage at Chelsea is 150. Why would you go and play for Inter Miami? You're only going to do it if you're a designated player. So I think what MLS needs to do is MLS needs to either expand the designated player slots, but that reduces the parity of the league, or they need to create a new mid-level exemption kind of thing to allow players between this salary and this salary. Like you can't pay designated player. I can pay players whatever I want. I could pay them $50 million a year if I wanted to get Lionel Messi. It doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. But I think you could have one in between where you say, you can earn up to $500,000 a year. You can earn up to $2 million a year. Right. And you have a mid-level exemption for 3 or 4 players. I think once players start, because I think the thing that's attractive to MLS, you saw this with Ryan Shawcross when he went to Inter Miami. He was at Stoke for 15 years. Right. It sucks in Stoke. It's cold. It's wet. It's windy. And he goes to Miami. It's lifestyle. Right. Who wouldn't want to play football in Southern California in the summer? Beautiful. Who wouldn't want to play in the nation's capital in spring and summer? I mean, it's hot. Yes. But you see what I mean? Like, this country's beautiful. Seattle, Vancouver, Portland, the beautiful places to play. Lifestyle wise, a lot of these players would be better, instead of playing for Luton Town, would be better to go and play in the MLS because they're going to earn the exact same money. Right. And then they're going to have a better lifestyle of that. But I think the thing is, you have to get players like a Callum Hudson-Odoi level. And we just mentioning him because we were just talking about him, who are names, but are kind of on the fringes of the Premier League team. And so they can come to MLS so that they're a known quantity. They're not a superstar, and they can build their reputations. And I think once you start seeing players go in their prime to this league, then you shift the narrative from being a retirement league to a place where people want to come because it's attractive to play, right? I'm going to get paid to do it. And it's a beautiful country to play in. It's a beautiful lifestyle to have. In terms of being in England, I mean, look at England. It's seasons in winter. It's dark most of the time. It's cold. It's rainy. It's snowy. It's not great. That's why they all escape to Spain and Portugal for the sun and Dubai and stuff. But if you come to America, a lot different. I think MLS have to change that. I think they just need to expand the salary caps more, start making the league a little bit more attractive to those mid-level kind of players. Because, I mean, think about it, Connor. We were just talking about Christian Pulisic. Would Christian Pulisic sign for Philadelphia Union because it's in his hometown? No, would he sign for him right now?
No.
He's going to make more money, even though it's in his hometown. It's in his home state, right? He's going to make more money at Chelsea. And unfortunately, players' careers are short. He's going to retire very young then. but you have to be able to get that quality of player who wants to come to MLS in their prime years because they see that as an opportunity to continue to grow. When you look at the national team, there's basically two versions of the men's national. There's the version that all play in Europe, and then there's the version they play when all the European players don't get released. And there's like two different ones. But when the World Cup comes around, out of the 23-man roster, I can pretty much assure you 20 are going to be from Europe. They won't be from the MLS. So you have to make sure the MLS is attractive for those mid-level men's national team kind of level players to come in and make sure that that league can continue to grow, because then it's seen as you're changing there from retirement league to somewhere where people can go and have a good lifestyle. They can earn their money. They can earn the wages that they would in England or comparable to it, or Europe or whatever. And that's going to raise the standard of play, because then the young players coming through, they have to get to a different level to get in the first team. And then once they do there, they're going to grow on. And then say, hey, once you go on, the opportunities in Europe are abound because we've got this player trading market going on. So I think that's a crucial key, is just opening up the markets and allowing prime age players see it as more valuable opportunity to go in there to the league.
I think you severely underestimate Greg Berhalter's ability to call in Jordan Lewis and Jonathan Lewis. You don't know that inside joke. That's another inside joke with our friend group. Jonathan Lewis, Sebastian Lletget, and basically half a roster full of MLS players. So maybe 20 is a stretch, but I would agree with you, right? So we have our GAM and our TAM, and that's kind of like a mid-level exception where you use that to take the salary of somebody who's almost a designated player or just above that designated player and turn him into a mid-level exception type of player. But there's just not enough of it, because that sort of money is used for so many other different things, whether it be, like I mentioned, buying down players, straight purchasing of other players. The other side of that is that when you sell a player on for, we talk about Paredes, right? And his move to Wolfsburg, because MLS is a single entity and all these teams are drawn into it, right? DC United doesn't see all of that 7 million that they get. So that is another massive thing for me personally, where that needs to massively flip.
And you're right, because at the point I develop a player, I sell him on, and you're Don Garber, right? And you're rubbing your hands because you're getting 5 million, I'm getting 2, and I spent 10 years training the guy, and I'm now out a player.
Right.
Now I spend to replace the player, and you're doing it, and the collective do it. So I think you're right. In some respects, that has to change. If DC United develop a player and they sell him for 50 million, they should get the 50 million. It's their player.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if I don't pay your wages and I'm the owner of DC United, I own you. I'm the owner, right? You're my player. I'm paying your wages. I own you essentially. Then I tell you, and Connor takes part of the money, but Connor's not paying your wages. He got nothing to do with it. He's just sitting here making sure I got a schedule and the right sleeve patches and the numbers on. So why am I giving a cut to him? He's got nothing to do with this. And so that, you're right, that has to change as well. The MLS players and teams have to see more of the transfer money that goes through and keep it out of the commissioner's office.
100%. I think that the massive difference too, and it didn't really hurt us, and I say us as a league, right? It didn't really hurt us early on, early 2010s into the 2015 type of years, because we weren't selling so many people for this much money before. I believe the turnover rate for this amount of money was at max $750,000. I don't know if that's changed, but if we're selling people, like, again, we'll go to the Paredes for $7 million and we're getting $750,000 in return, the league doesn't grow that way. Well, the teams can't grow that way. The league itself can become more sustainable, but the teams will never be able to compete for Champions League. And we were talking about this in one of our other episodes, where if you want to compete for Champions League, you need to have more money, because every other Mexican team that you play against is deep, because they have the money to fill out the bottom half of their roster, where we are, instead of pumping that into our teams, we're pumping it into our league, so that if we have a bad year, like a COVID year, we don't fold, which I get to a degree. But if we want to grow ourselves, our teams individually in the game, it will help grow our league just as much if they're being successful in the Champions League. We win the Champions League, go to the World Cup, win a game in the Club World Cup. That's massive. That's never been done before. So